All right, YouTube, we are live. I am Eric Abbey, and I am here with my friend Jens Lindner. Jens, say hello to our viewers.
Hey guys and gals.
We are excited to be with you again. It's Saturday. It's noon Central Standard Time. I've been doing my best to start right at noon. Trust me, I'm here ready to go at noon. It's just a matter of getting everything to sync up and the technology to work. But 3 minutes late isn't that big a deal, and we're excited to be here. So I'm going to invite you to keep coming and keep joining us and to find your home with us here again this Saturday. We've been doing this for, gosh, I think this is month 4 that we've been doing live Q&A for arbitrage. So today, this hour is all about arbitrage. As many of you know, there are a lot of different vehicles that you can use to sell on Amazon. I call them lanes. There's kind of different lanes that you can be in as you sell on Amazon. And a lot of our members at Just One Dime are finding that to be in multiple lanes is really advantageous. It's a way to diversify your portfolio, a way to kind of have different pieces working together in your business. And so some people are working the private label lane, and they're branding their own products. They're doing deep product research to figure out what's that one product that they can launch and get rolling with their own brand and their own listing. And they're learning how to get their listing to rank. And so people are finding it and buying their product, and they're trying to find high demand products that have a limited amount of competition. And that's a really good lane to work in if you're wanting to sell on Amazon. Some people are doing wholesale, and they're finding ways that they can set up wholesale accounts and be working with large quantities of a more narrow scope of item. And that's working for a lot of people. Some of you are doing that. And then some people are doing arbitrage, which is what we're going to talk about during this hour. It's something that I'm passionate about, something that's worked very well for me. You know, part of what you're doing is trying to figure out what works with your personality, what works with your convictions and your goals. Some of you are like, I want to fire my boss and I want this to be my full-time enterprise. And others maybe are more like me, and you want to be working full-time at something different, but you want to just create some margin in your budget, and you're trying to find a way to sell on Amazon, a way to start a business that can kind of fit around whatever is your full-time conviction or your full-time pursuit. But no matter what you're doing, I think arbitrage can have a good role to play in it. A lot of people who are doing things like wholesale or private label are finding that arbitrage can work really well as a foundation for their business. It can complement what they're doing. They can find and sell items pretty quick and begin to gain some revenue. And maybe the potential for making big money isn't there with arbitrage, but they can generate enough capital to start funding their private label enterprise. Some people are just doing both at the same time. Of course, Seth does that. He's still doing arbitrage to this day. He and his wife enjoy doing it. So all we're advocating is that you sell on Amazon and leverage arbitrage in some way. And arbitrage is simply finding an item in one low-priced market where you find something on clearance or during a going out of business sale, or you get it from a supplier where you can get an item particularly cheap, and then you turn around and leverage a better market where you can make gains on that product. You can sell it at a higher rate. And the Amazon marketplace has become such a great market because you're leveraging an online audience. And, you know, I'm up here in northern Vermont, and I'm selling to people all over the United States. And really, I'm selling to people all over the world, even through Amazon.com, because that's possible and that's happening. And so that's been really excited for me. The Mombat, hello, right next door in New Hampshire. Most of you watching probably don't even know the difference between Vermont and New Hampshire. You couldn't tell me which one was which. How in the world do you determine? Oh, we got some questions coming. I just want to say hello. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Sean. Hey, Mihai. Kurt, hello. We're glad to have you guys with us. I want to talk about goals for just a minute, and I want to give Jens a chance to tell us a little bit of his story. Jens is a coach with our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership. Just One Dime is proving to you that we think arbitrage is important and that it could really be something that you can leverage, because we've created an entire membership devoted to doing arbitrage. And so we do everything in this membership from soup to nuts to enable you to know how to start selling on Amazon. And, you know, last week I talked with Alan about how it's really possible. We're convinced it's possible to generate $300,000 in revenue within a year's time if you really put your hand to the plow and take the next step at each level. And we go in depth in our membership, talking to you about how you can analyze products, find out what good quality products are, how they'll sell quickly, how you can make margin, how you can not choose the wrong products, which will only end in frustration and maybe a conviction that arbitrage is dead, it doesn't work. 99% of people who say that are running into a self-created problem because they're not doing really good analyzing of products, and they're either selling products and not making any money because they're not finding products with good margin, or they're buying products that have potential good margin, but they can't sell them. They're not buying products that are going to turn over quickly. And so our membership goes into all that. We do deep dives on different tools you can use, on different options you have using virtual assistants and other things. We've got tons and tons of videos, over 100 videos. We do weekly ninja tactics to keep you up to speed on Amazon current events. There's a great community that you can interact with and ask questions of. You get weekly live coaching where you can ask any of your questions, and it's a dynamic setting. And we're engaged in that. There's several of us that are engaged in that, and Jens is one of those. So I'm wondering for you, what are one or two of the goals that you have that if you could create margin in your budget, you would be able to achieve? I remember sitting around about 5 years ago thinking, I would really like to be able to own a home. We knew we wanted to stay in Vermont. We had always been renting. I wasn't getting younger. We were having more children. I really wanted to own a home that would be a blessing to our family, but I didn't have any way to save money. I had a good job and it was paying the bills, but I didn't have enough margin to get rid of my debt and save for a down payment on a house. And what I discovered is as I got more and more excited about attaining that goal, I started thinking about what could I do to expand my margin, and doing arbitrage on Amazon is what I found and began to work at. And in due time, I really got my feet under me and decided this was a way to go. And I really leaned into it, and I worked really hard at doing it. And after doing arbitrage for 6 to 12 months, probably 9 to 12 months, I was able to eliminate our personal debt. And it was about 3 years later, 2.5, 3 years later, I was able to purchase the home I'm standing in right now. And I just know a lot of you who are viewing our program have similar goals. And I'm wondering what that would be. And if you allow yourself to dream, which can be risky, because then you're actually thinking about what would it really be like if I achieved my goals. If you dream about that, what would it be if you had something in a year, or could do something in a year or 3 years or 5 years? What would that be? And what would it look like if you set off on this adventure of selling on Amazon, maybe doing arbitrage, and you began to achieve those goals? And I dare you to dream about that and think about and really take responsibility and ownership for the fact that you can create margin in your budget in order to realize those dreams. And then when you check off a goal, like when I got rid of that debt, man, it was the coolest feeling. I think I took my wife out to dinner and we celebrated the fact that we had achieved that goal. And then we said, what's next? And the house was kind of the big one, but there were other goals along the way. And then once we bought the house, my wife and I sat down, and I don't think I took her out to dinner. I think we had dinner in our own home and celebrated that, and then just said, what would be the next thing that we'd be excited to do? So Jens, I'm wondering for you, what are some of the goals that you've set and have been able to achieve, and how did arbitrage fit into that? Give us a couple examples.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, it was really at the beginning when I started arbitrage about 3 years ago, finding a way that I can do besides my day job. I mean, like you, Eric, you had a day job, I have a day job, so working 40, 45, 50 hours, I can't just pick up another job because I do have family and kids, and can just add another 40 hours on top of that, so my family never sees me. So I really was on the lookout to do something that I can do on my own time, and that's very important to me, is that fits into my lifestyle and my family's lifestyle. And I think that goal is achieved with arbitrage, because I can do it on my time when I don't have any family events going on, and really go out, do retail arbitrage online arbitrage when I want to, so to speak. And the other goal was I also want to do something that I can involve my family with. So my sons, they occasionally join me and we go on a treasure hunt, so to speak. And they really getting into it, even if I'm not sourcing in retail, just going grocery shopping. I have, hey, daddy, look at this item. Can you scan it? It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I can do it, but we're not buying it today. So it's kind of fun to take the kids with me and achieve that and have that additional bonding time and one-on-one time with my kids. So that's really awesome. So on top of that, of course, talking financials, want to have an additional income stream that I can do similar to what Eric said around reducing personal debt. I mean, that's one of the goals, is really helping out, having additional income stream, and eventually, like Eric, having the margin to do what I want to do in life, that I can quit my day job and don't have to worry about where next month's rent comes from. You know, that I own my home, that I don't have any payments, and really am home free, so to speak. So that's kind of my goal, is doing something with the family and really building that passive income stream. Well, it's not really passive, but the passive income stream to replace my income, so I can spend even more time with my family, because the kids are only young once, and once they're grown up out of the house, then they're gone.
Yeah. One of the neat things that you said is, you know, you can really fit your Amazon arbitrage business in and around your full-time job, or really what the other convictions you have are. And what I've found is that I have been able to manage my Amazon business so that it's serving my interests. And I've said it before in the program, but I think there's just a lot of people who own businesses, and the business kind of takes over. And when the business says jump, the person feels like they need to say how high, and now they're becoming enslaved to the business. And most of the people who are viewing our program, I think, are eager to escape the slavery of whatever it is they're feeling, whether it's their 9-to-5 job, or if it's just what they're prevented from doing because they don't have margin in their budget. And so if you turn around and start a business that now you're enslaved to this business, you've kind of defeated the purpose. And we all know that there are tons of people who have a lot of money and they're miserable because they're not actually finding freedom to do the things that they want to do. That money has just kind of got them by the throat. And so we're certainly wanting to advocate a healthy approach to this. And we do a ton in our membership that's just kind of general business thinking and life management and family management. And, you know, I've got convictions that I don't want the business to become more important than. I've always done ministry in my church. Just recently, I celebrated one of the goals I achieved was being able to quit my other job and go pretty much full time at the church, but with a situation worked out where I can be a pastor in the church and I can do my Amazon business. But now my Amazon business is really serving what I want to do in the ministry. And it's awesome because I can just tuck it into all the nooks and the crannies of my life, which I don't know how you would do with a lot of other businesses. So I'm seeing Trucker Dave 215. I want to say hi to him from Philly. And he's saying that he currently, you know, makes good money in the trucking business, but the Amazon field looks like something that would work well as a new income stream for him to garner extra cash. And I'm saying to Trucker Dave, that's exactly right, because one of the cool things you can do is so much of what you're doing is through the internet and on the computer. And no matter where you are in the country, I mean, wireless stations are just available everywhere. You know, you can sit down in a Dunkin' Donuts and you've got wireless. You're eating a Big Mac at McDonald's and you've got wireless. And so no matter where you are driving your truck, you could stop and build it into your job and your routes and everything you're doing. When you have the ability to do it, you could log on your computer and you could do all kinds of online arbitrage. You could monitor your Amazon seller account. You could do all kinds of work there. You could have prep centers at different locations throughout the United States where you sent those goods that you purchased online. So we have international sellers who leverage this model. They purchase items from .com websites. They have the product sent to a prep center that does everything for you that needs to be done in order to prepare your items to go to an Amazon fulfillment center. And then leveraging FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, you're getting all your product that you bought to an Amazon fulfillment center, and they're doing all the work for you. They're warehousing the product, they're picking it off the shelf, packing it in a box, shipping it, handling customer service, handling returns. And so, Dave, you're continuing to do your trucking job in the prep center, and the Amazon fulfillment center is taking care of all of that. International sellers, same thing. Prep center is taking care of it. Amazon's taking care of it. You certainly have to manage all that and make purchasing and selling decisions, but it's doable. It's very, very doable. And with retail arbitrage, if I kind of think it would be cool to be traveling. I've thought about this before. You could travel around the United States and you could spend a couple days in an urban location, do a ton of retail arbitrage, take your stuff to a prep center and drop it off and move on to the next location. And I could see that fitting in really well with a truck driver's lifestyle. So, I mean, this is what is so cool with Amazon is you can just, it doesn't matter if you're a trucker or a pastor or what your job is. If you have a family or don't have a family, you can tuck it in around. So kind of what's your schedule look like, Jens? Where does your business fit in? What kind of hours do you work and how do you manage that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just echoing what you say, I don't know what Dave is doing, if he's doing over the road or just local truck driving. What if I would be an over the road trucker? I mean, all the towns I get in, if I have time, I would go there and just see what's there, because really arbitrage is very localized. Even I live in Minnesota and in the Twin Cities. Even stores that are just 5 miles apart, same chain, have different items on sale. So depending really what the local crowd sells, what doesn't sell. So having that ability to travel over the road and really get a cross section of the country and the stores and finding stuff, I think that's awesome. Now to your question, what my time looks like really what you mentioned, I make it fit into my schedule. So if I'm busy with family events at evenings, I'm not doing anything. And then the next night I'm open. So I go into my Seller Central account and make sure that everything is running smooth, do some online arbitrage, look for stuff. And then on the weekends typically is when I go out with either myself or with my son to do some retail arbitrage and find stuff. So really weekends for me is where I do most of the retail arbitrage, and then during the week more the online and account health type work.
Yeah. Dave's saying he's over the road. He goes to different Walmarts, buys a lot of clearance. Dave, check out the link below. We've got a link to our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, and we just go through the paces to really help you. I think it would serve any of you guys who are looking to get started doing this or to take your business to the next level. I'm seeing other questions roll in, and let me continue to encourage you to put your questions out there. Tell us what your struggles are, what you're wondering about. It's what this hour is all about. I see Robert saying, how in the world do you determine what to buy and if it will sell? This is the granddaddy question in my mind, because there are a lot of people trying to sell on Amazon and they're not making a quality determination about what kind of items to purchase and what kind of items to try to sell. So I think the where question, where do you buy? You go just about anywhere you can to find opportunities, but how you determine what items to buy and if it's going to sell is all driven by data that Amazon gives you. And that's the key. You're not making purchases with wishful thinking. You can, but you won't be successful doing that. What we're advocating is that you let the numbers drive your decisions, that you let the data that Amazon provides for you help you to make decisions that you can be confident in. So now you're buying an item and you're, instead of saying, I like these, and so because I like it, I think, there's other people out there that will like it and want to buy it, or this looks like a cool item. Certainly people will want to buy this cool item. I mean, that might be true, and it might be nearly impossible for you to sell it through the Amazon platform because somebody might be searching on that item, and there's no reason to know that the listing that you need to sell that item through is going to show up in their search. And so what you do, Robert, to determine what to buy and if it will sell is you look at the BSR, which is the bestseller rank that Amazon provides on almost every item in their catalog, and that gives you precedent to know what items on Amazon are already selling. And so now if you can find an item at a clearance sale or at a yard sale or at an auction or on a website, or going out of business sale, if you can find a discounted item that's already has precedent, this item sells $30 a month on Amazon at $30 each, and you're looking at the item and you see that it only costs you $10, now you've got a really nice situation. You can buy this item, you can send it into Amazon, and you have confidence that it's going to sell for $30 because you've done enough product research to see that that item has been selling on Amazon. It's been selling plenty of them, not just, a one-off. And at a certain price. And so now you have a ton of confidence to make this purchase and send the product in. And if you multiply that effort, like Jens and I do, I mean, I'm aiming to sell between, 1,000 and 1,500 items a month. So that effort multiplies. And next thing you know, you're finding good margin. So that's the key. And again, in our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, we go into great length to talk about how to analyze products, because that really is the key. You can find all kinds of great deals on products that aren't going to sell on Amazon. They're just not going to, they might not even be listed on Amazon. And if they are, there's no reason to think they're automatically going to sell well on Amazon if you haven't done the product research. Let's see what other questions we got. Go ahead, jump in, Jen.
I want to add something to that. We are in a very unique situation that we have a way to tell before we even buy an item if this item is sought after. If you buy something or want to sell it at the flea market or garage sale, you don't know if it's going to sell. But Amazon gives us the tool to tell us this is a sought after item. There is no other business opportunity that tells you, hey, this item is so hot it will fly off the shelves, or this item is not hot and will sit. So you can make the decision even before you buy it. There's no other marketplace or other business model out there where you essentially have a crystal ball and can look into the future. So that's what's so exciting to me about Amazon. It's like I'm scanning the items, I'm looking at the BSR, I know my category, I know my margins, and it's like, yeah, this item's gonna sell. And I had items, and Eric probably too, and many of you probably too, who do reader arbitrage, as soon as it's listed, it was sold. Mm-hmm. So it didn't even make it 5 minutes and was sold. So
yeah, and those are really fun to see. So I mean, good businesses are not built on luck. And sometimes people get lucky, and I think that really helps their success. And there's a certain degree of something that has to happen. We can't always control every single variable, and yet good businesses are built on data. I mean, men and women who are able to think well about markets and sales and money and bottom lines, like they're able to do the math and figure out what is going to create a win-win situation. They're not just rolling the dice. Business isn't meant to be like playing roulette or blackjack or something. So it's just a natural form of thinking well about business to be able to analyze data and apply that so that there's confidence behind your investment. Again, not a slam dunk. Jens and I could tell you item after item that we made a mistake on, or for whatever reason we purchased and we weren't able to sell it, or we lost money on it, or we put in all kinds of effort and then broke even on it. I mean, I've never talked to a business owner that can say they've avoided mistakes, and but that's also how you gain experience and learn and grow. And in the meantime, you really can be making money. Alex B., I see you and I see your questions. I'm seeing that you're stuck with 24 different units. So that must be a variety of items. So it's hard for me to know how to answer your question as to what you would do, because I don't know the situation. If you've got items that have a really high BSR and so you just can't sell them, or if you can't sell them at the price that you were hoping to, and so you don't want to lower the price and you're stuck with them, or are you just unable to list them on Amazon? Give me a little more detail in the chat and I'll try to answer your question. We do offer, if you join our membership, you get a free month of leads, and it's a pile of leads. It's over like 150 leads. And it's really helpful. And it's really helpful to not only give you some opportunities to buy and source products, but to just get a feel for the kinds of products you're looking for. And Alex is saying he had trouble with some of those. And so I just want to address that and talk through that issue. R.A. Davis is asking about replens. So in arbitrage, if you find a replenishable product, it's really fantastic, because what you've discovered is a product that you can make money on selling on Amazon, and assuming it's a quality product, you're able to sell a number of them. So you could send in 5 units, and maybe those 5 units would sell within 2 to 4 weeks time. And you're like, boy, it'd be nice to have another 5 of those. And so a replen or replenishable product is one where you have a steady stream of supply. And so if you can sell 5 a month, you might buy 15 and feed them into Amazon. And if you sell those 15, maybe it's a good couple months and you sell those in a couple months, you can go back and buy more. And now you're replenishing your inventory with new products. Jens, any tricks of the trade that you've discovered where you've been able to find those, or what would you suggest to R.A. Davis, who's asking that?
I did have one replenishable that I found at Walmart, but after my second buy, it wasn't replenishable anymore because price came down and essentially it didn't make sense anymore. If you're talking about retail arbitrage, literally is scan the entire store, quite literally. Go aisle to aisle, scan the entire store. So that's the only way I would be able to find or have found what I was looking for, other than somebody else telling you, hey, I have a replenishable and here's a product, which barely happens, right?
Well, they shouldn't do that. I'm not going to tell you if I know of a replenishable product.
So, but essentially it comes down to scan the entire store. I mean, just because it's not on clearance doesn't mean it's not profitable online. So yeah. The item I had, just to throw around some numbers, I bought it for about $5 and it sold for $12. So I didn't make a ton of money on it, and that's just a thing of replenishables. You don't make a ton of money on that. If you do, even better, but you can consistently make the same amount of money. But then more people got onto the listing and essentially tanked the pricing to a point that I would lose money selling it. So okay, I got out of it.
Yeah, I had a replenishable product that I can think of in particular that I was paying about $4 a piece for, and they were selling for $16, $17. And it was nice. Last Christmas, I sent in 40 or 50 of them, and they all sold between November and December. And at Christmas time, the price was inflated. I think I was selling them at $19.95, and all of them I bought for around $4. So that was really nice. And I witnessed the same thing, Jens. What happens with replenishable products is if they're available to you as a steady supply, they're probably available to other people steadily as well. And as they discover that, the number of products, number of sellers coming in will increase the supply on the Amazon marketplace, and the price is likely to drop unless all those sellers do a good job at maintaining price. Our recommendation is always to match the lowest buy box price, the lowest FBA buy box price, or even go a penny or two higher to avoid this race and pushing the price down. Amazon sellers that try to undercut by a penny or a nickel are really doing a disservice to everybody who's wanting to sell on Amazon, because that price is going to sink. But naturally, when you have extra amounts of supply, that's going to happen. And with this particular product I would see that happen seasonally. Like a month, you'd get a bunch of sellers, the price would drop, and I would just leave mine. And those sellers would kind of disappear, and the price would come back up, and I'd sell mine. And I rode that replen for about 18 months that way. It must be the supply for people was limited enough that they never flooded it and killed the price entirely. And the store that I was buying this from suddenly didn't have it anymore. And I asked the manager, who I know and have built a relationship with, about that item. And she phoned their headquarters and she found out that it's discontinued, which is a bummer to me. So it's not on the Amazon side that it ended. It was on the supplier side, and I can't find out how to supply it any other way. So I took the 10 units that I had and I sat on them with a high price. I put them at $21.95, and because I knew that. And I just sold my first one at $21.95, and I've got 9 left. And I think after they sell, I'll probably be done. But RA's question is, how do you find those? And I think Jens is right. You scan products that you might not normally scan. And so finding replens is going to take a little more time and effort. For me, efficiency-wise, like if I go into a Lowe's, I know where the clearance end caps are. And in some of the Lowe's that I go to, the plumbing section has a little clearance spot. And I'm kind of trying to get in and out because I'm on a lunch break or my time is limited. But if I've got extra time, it feels overwhelming to me to scan the whole store, but I might just start thinking about where's an aisle or two that I could go to and maybe find an item that I could get, between $5 and $10 that there's a chance it would be selling on Amazon. at a large enough margin that I could sell it and make a profit. And now if it's just a regular product in the store, the chances are I could get a regular supply at that price. The problem with clearance items is you're getting a special discount price, and you probably can't replicate that price. But there are a lot of stores, and maybe Lowe's is a bad example, but you could think through other stores that have items, and you could target certain aisles that might have the kind of item that would seem to you to best qualify as a potential replenishable product, and just say, I'm going to take an hour and I'm going to scan product with an eye to a replenishable product. And so now instead of hitting the clearance section, you're hitting regular parts of the store, hoping to find a treasure that could become something that's replenishable.
And when you do that, also keep in mind, you don't want to look at items, if you want to narrow down, and scanning entire Walmart with 40,000 SKUs is a daunting task. So you narrow it down, toss out all these seasonal items that come in, like spring items or fall items, and any seasonal item kick out because you can't replenish them once the season is done. And then think about stuff that people use every day, that they use up every day. Like, I wouldn't go and scan pots and pans because that's a long-term investment. They use it for many, many years. I would really look at the aisle and say, okay, what has a limited lifetime in a household? How often are they going to go buy that stuff? Example, not go do that because you're not going to make money on that. Laundry detergent. People use laundry detergent. So that would be a good item from the thinking here to scan and see if you can make money on that. So really putting a lens on what are things people use up, consumables, and start scanning those and see what happens. That's what I did. The item I was doing was in the cleaning aisle. So yeah.
Good. I'm seeing some more information from Alex, his example. He says, I bought something for $80 and it was selling for $166, and then he came to realize it was an inflated price. So I think you need to watch out for inflated prices. One clue that the price is inflated might be that there's no buy box. So when you go to that listing, it says, it doesn't give an immediate opportunity for you to add to cart. You have to click on the list of sellers in order to purchase the product. That's what we talk about when there's no buy box. Amazon seems to have an algorithm that will eliminate the buy box when it thinks the price is inflated, though I don't really put a lot of weight on their algorithm because there's times when the buy box disappears and the price is completely normal. So that can be a clue, but I think doing product research and keeping in mind the history of the product. So just because the BSR and the prices are certain numbers, you want to look at the history and the precedent of that product. Another warning, I'm saying one warning might be that the buy box is gone. Another warning might be that there's only one seller. So just remember, and R.A. Davis spoke to this. Where did he say it? I scrolled and lost it. He talked about how third-party sellers can set their own prices, and that's true. And so if you have one third-party seller, if Jens is the only seller with a particular product, and that product normally sells at $39.95, I mean, if he wants to, he can set the price at $99.95. He's free to do what he wants, and he might never sell the item. But now if you scan it, his $99.95 price is what's going to show, and it's going to be an inflated price. And if you do any product research to look back at what the history of that product was, you'll probably see that it sold at $30 and now he's trying to get extra money somehow. And sometimes that works because if there's the right kind of demand, you can get an inflated price. In fact, we're heading towards fourth quarter where I feel like you always get inflated prices. People are just spending more money and they want to get the products they want. And so selling retail is really fun as Christmas approaches because people are always willing to spend more money. But Alex, that's probably part of the problem. And you're asking, first of all, that doesn't mean that the lead list was bad. It's certainly still your responsibility to do good product research and then decide what you're going to buy. And it could be that the leads list was good for a window of time and then that window passed. But what would I do now? I mean, I always have items that I'm unable to sell for the price I had hoped I could sell, and I have to sell them for whatever I can get. So if an item has been in my inventory for over 6 months, that's kind of my rule of thumb, then I'm gonna start listing it at whatever price I have to list it to get rid of it. And that's painful. I hate buying products and then having to sell them at a price that's lower than I expected, but it's part of doing business. And I would rather do that than get stuck with the item. And sometimes I break even. Sometimes I spend $80 like you and I make $1.20. And sometimes I lose money. But in the end, what I'm finding with arbitrage is that I'm always profiting more than those situations where I'm breaking even or losing some money. But I'd rather at least get the cash flow back from those that I can and move them, learn from my mistakes, and go back and do better quality research the next time. Jens, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately happens to everyone. You can't avoid that. Experience I have is when it really happens that way, the question becomes, do I see the price getting higher anytime soon? So is there a pattern? For example, seasonality, you mentioned that, Eric, Q4 might be an opportunity to still sell it at a higher price so you make your money back. But it comes down to, are you cash strapped? Are those $700 that you invested prohibiting you from building a bigger business? So it's really around, do I need those $700 back? Or can I sit on them and see if I can make my money back or at least break even? If you do need it back, unfortunately, there might not be much alternative than taking a loss on it. So, but at least you get out of that position, you get some money back. Because my philosophy, I'd rather sell on Amazon and get some money back than write a removal order, because then I'm not getting any money back. So that's
and I personally would wait at least 6 months because I think Jens is right, and especially with fourth quarter coming. I would wait and kind of see what things looked like in November. And then maybe if December rolls around, you're just doing your best to match whatever the lowest price is there. But yeah, I think you want to do everything you can. I mean, if the price was there at one time, it may very well recover there. And a lot of that depends on what your BSR is and what other variables are that factor into kind of how you want to think through that timing. And you've got to look at each item to understand that. Chan is on here, and he says he's about to break 20K on RA. So way to go. That's cool. And he wants advice on scaling to the next level. Now, I'll give you like a really quick answer, Chan, but if you want to, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the previous program. Last Saturday, Alan and I spoke about this specifically. So that was on September 7th. And you can find all the past episodes that we've done on YouTube, on Seth Kniep's channel. Subscribe to his channel, and you'll get updates when we go live and things like that. But we talked last week about kind of the 4-step process of getting to $300,000 in retail sales within a year. And first, it was just a matter of getting started. Chan, you've done that. Secondly was building your inventory. So a way that you can take your business to the next level is to think about how you can build your inventory. And if you're getting towards 20K, you've probably been working the muscle of trying to build your inventory. Our third step was to expand your opportunities. So maybe start thinking about, are there other categories that you haven't explored? Are there stores that you haven't shopped in yet? Are you doing online arbitrage as well? Because that could take your business to the next level. Maybe you're in the habit of buying 2 or 3 of each product you find. Alan and I wrestle about this each week, but one of the ways that I've scaled is I've decided on products that have a really strong BSR and or a really strong margin, particularly strong, I'm willing to buy 6 or 8 or even 10 of that product. And so, now instead of selling 3 items that profited me $30 each, I'm trying to sell 6 items that profit the same amount. If you double the amount of items you buy, you can theoretically double your profit. So there's some risk to that. There's been plenty of times where I've had 10 of something that I've got stuck with, and I would rather get stuck with 2 of something, but that's a way that you can do it. So expanding your opportunities. And then the final and 4th step we talked about last week was building your team. And so maybe thinking through a way to scale by hiring an employee, which I just did, by the way, Jens. The first time I've ever done it in 5 years of selling on Amazon, I decided to hire an employee, and I will keep you up to date, guys, on how that goes. But, I'm thinking about this sort of thing as we're doing these programs, and I'm thinking, how can I take my business to the next level? And I'm hearing Alan and seeing Alan's numbers, and he's doing all kinds of great increases with his business. And a lot of it's due to the fact that he's getting other people, he's delegating work to other people and getting them to help him. So I've hired my first employee, and we'll see how he does. And I've kind of got a unique idea in mind. So I didn't just hire a guy to do grunt work. I hired a guy to kind of think along with me in my business. It's somebody I know and trust, and I'm eager to see how that works out. So Chan, there's some high level suggestions. Maybe to take your business to the next level, you ought to join our membership, because, and I'm serious about that, because there are a lot of things. I had been selling on Amazon for 2.5 years when I discovered Just One Dime. And Just One Dime was just starting, so it didn't exist when I started selling. But I really felt like I knew how to sell on Amazon, and I had a business that was motoring right along. But I had always done it by myself for the most part. And I joined Just One Dime and immediately found that there were things I hadn't thought about, things I hadn't learned. I got exposed to leads lists and people who knew just different things than I did, and my business took off significantly. I easily made back my initial Just One Dime investment in 3 or 4 months. It's been very fruitful and very profitable. So Chan, that could be what you need to do as well to take things to the next level.
Yeah, having like-minded people that are really helpful, and just by listening to other community members and their problems and their struggles and the solutions that are proposed, and then follow up to see what happens. And typically it's a positive resolution there. Just really has helped me to understand better how to sell on Amazon. Like Eric said, it's not about joining the course and then getting things you already know. Of course, you will have some things that you already know, but really more about the things you don't know, and being exposed to those ideas to really take it to the next level. And as Eric mentioned, I mean, in the end, it comes down to, if you want to do $100,000 a year, you need to have product that sells for $100,000 a year. And there are many, many strategies how you can go about that.
Good. Marion has something he wants your thoughts on, Jens. He says, how about when you find a quality product and until it becomes active on Amazon, you find that the price drops? What are your thoughts on that? How would you just deal with that mentally, I'm sure you've seen that. That's happened to you, I promise. How do you process that? How do you avoid it? How do you think about it?
Well, once I send the item to Amazon, I made the mental note, I'm invested. So hello, high water, I'm going to sell the item on Amazon. I mean, if it's too high of an item dollar-wise that I sourced it for, then I might think to do a removal order and return it back to the store. But in my mind, I buy it, I sell it. That's my mentality. So to me, having the decision happen that I'm not going to sell it happens before I send it to Amazon. So if I buy online arbitrage, it takes a week to get here. I check it before I prep it for shipping. And I feel, okay, this is not a good item anymore. Then I make the decision to sell, to ship it back and return it. But once I list it and it's on its way, typically I'm not going to recall it. I'm going to sell it. So did it happen to me? Oh, many, many times. And every time it's like, oh, shoot.
Does that mindset help you manage your anxiety, though?
Yes, because at that point I'm trying to remove my emotion from the business, because in the end, emotion kills businesses. If I make an emotional decision, say, oh my God, the price is dropping and the sky is falling, it's like, it doesn't help me, because I need to concentrate on other parts of the business, and this one item cannot derail my business. So at this point, it's really looking at it from a perspective that is purely unemotional. Okay, what is the price now? Can I still make money at that price? If so, I lower my price, get out of my inventory position, and move on. And if the price is too low, then the next question is, okay, is it a seasonal price? Can I get it back up? Do I wait another 3-4 months to see what happens? And that's typically what I do, is like, I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to lose money on this item right now. Because one of the disadvantages, which I also want to address, is, and Eric mentioned that if it's for sale right now, then probably it's for sale somewhere else too. So you will have some competition, and then you have some people that just gonna roll up the market because they don't know what the frick they're doing, and just low price it, lose money on it, and that tanks the pricing. So But if you wait those people out, price is gonna rebound, maybe not to the full price, but at least to a point that you don't lose money. You get out of the inventory position and move on.
Yeah, I mean, this is coming up a lot in our chat, and it's come up a lot in our membership, and really over time. And I think the best way to avoid it, or to limit your risk, is to not just do punctiliar product research. So what is the BSR right now, and what is the selling price right now? Because there's no way to discern if the price is inflated, like we talked about with Alex, which would lead to immediate price drops in a lot of cases, or you'll just never sell if the price remains at that level. Or that punctiliar notion might not inform you of the fact that there is a really good chance that the price is going to drop. But if you, instead of just looking at a moment in time, if you look at a product's history and look at what the BSR is across that history and what the selling price is across that history, now you're avoiding inflated prices in a major way. And maybe the price drops, but you're confident that on an average it's sold at this price, and so you just hang in there. I mean, there's a ton of times where I'm trying to sell a product for $29.95 and the price goes down to $19, and I just leave it at $29.95 because I've done good product research, and I know at some point it's going to sell here, and maybe I need to hang on for a month, maybe I need to hang on for 2 or 3 months. And certainly, because I'm fallible, there's times when it never does recover. But I think being able to look at the history of a product is huge in mitigating against that, and Keepa is the tool to use for that. And it's not that expensive. It's like $15 a month. And in our membership, we talk a lot about Keepa. We give on-screen examples about how to use it and how to add that element to your product research, which really avoids a lot of the problems that our viewers are running into.
Yeah, price history is definitely one of the strongest markers for me to make decision on an item, besides BSR history.
Yeah.
If I see the price fluctuates like crazy and I'm on a high right now, and the price is on average 30% lower in the last 3 months, yeah, I'm not going to buy it because I know price will drop. It's just a temporary either out of stock from a regular supplier or Amazon out of stock. And so I really look at minimum 90-day price history and BSR history to see, is it a stable product? Is it a stable price? And make my decision based on that. And yes, I found many products that I had to pass because it didn't fit the criteria.
Yeah, that's right. And you should do that. It's good product research, and it doesn't take a ton of time. You can do that research without it being a major energy dump. R.A. Davis asks if we use TA to get our leads. That's tactical arbitrage. I have used it, and I have been successful with it. I don't use it regularly. What I tend to do is I'll dive in, I'll pay for it for 1 month, I'll work it hard for that month, and then I usually get tired of it because it's a pain to sort through all the mismatches. And I kind of find that I exhaust certain things. So I'll use it, and then I'll quit, and I'll maybe come back a year later or 6 months later. That's my approach. Jens, do you use tactical arbitrage?
I have used it in the past over many, many months. But what I tell members that ask me about tactical arbitrage, it's how much time you invest into it, what you get back. And for me, my business model didn't fit in right. And some of the issues in those versions, like you mentioned, mismatches, sorting through everything. It's like, okay, I don't have time to sift through all that. And my time is better spent some other area that I know I can make money. So to me, I gave up on it, honestly. So not saying it's bad. I know many people use it to make a lot of money, but I never got it to work for me in my business. So
good. Yeah, when you think through these various tools, you want to just decide whether they're serving your purposes or not. And that depends on a lot of different things. What your goals are, what your business looks like, what stage you're in, what your personality is like, how much time you have. Juan Pablo says, what is the difference between BSR and the 2% category that you talk about sometimes? When we talk about 2% in a given category, what's a helpful context to understand is that every category has a different number of items that are for sale on Amazon. So if you're looking at a BSR of, say, 100,000, You need to know what category you're looking at, because if you're in a category that has millions of items, then 100,000 BSR is pretty good, because it means you're within the top 2% in that category. So what we recommend is to find a BSR that's within the top 2% of a category. But if a different category has a smaller number of items, if a category had only 500,000 items, then a BSR of 100,000 would not be a good BSR.
Yeah, talking about home and kitchen has, I believe, like 56 million items in it. So having a BSR of 100,000 out of 56 million items, pretty good. Now you look at like appliances, which has maybe just million and a half. Having 100,000 is pretty bad. So
yeah, so you don't want to have a flat-handed approach to BSR that says, a number like 100,000 is always good or it's always bad. You want to be thinking percentage-wise, because categories are different sizes. That's the difference, Juan. Sam says, do you have a system in place to check and organize your replens? I can't say I do. What typically happens for me as I manage my inventory in Amazon Seller Central is that my replenishable products get to the bottom of my managed inventory list, because every time in Arbitrage, if I buy 2 of a product, I create the listing, I send in the products. As soon as those 2 products sell, I delete the listing. And so any replenishable products that I have, now different people do this differently. And I might've even heard Jens at one point say that he deletes it and then he recreates the listing if he replenishes it. I'm not sure if that was you or not. I remember hearing somebody in our workshop say that. But for me, when I have a replen, those listings never get deleted, so they make their way to the back end of my managed inventory. So I guess if I have any system, Sam, it's that, if I go to the very last page of my managed inventory, my replenishable products, or I do have a couple products that I went deep on. So there was one time when I bought 500 of a product, and it's taken me, I've got like 3 boxes left, and it's probably going to take me almost 3 years to sell all 500 of those, but I've been making really good money on them. So you can decide what to do, whether or not to do that sort of thing. But those I think of as replenishable, because I'm replenishing them from the corner of my garage. So all those end up at the bottom of my inventory. So I can look at them all at the same time, and I can kind of manage them in one look at the back end of my managed inventory.
So what you can do is, actually, I've been using a little bit of that functionality within Seller Central under inventory planning, and then restock inventory. You essentially tell them, okay, what's my lead time to get that item? And Amazon will tell you when it's time to restock based on what you tell them. So I would somewhat rely on Amazon to give me the heads up saying, oh, I need to send stuff in. Amazon is very good, and the logistics software is very good predicting where stuff sells, which area, and how many items you need. Of course, it's not 100% accurate, so you might want to check the quantities, but they will let you know if you pay attention to those alerts when it's time to restock certain items. And if you put in the work and say, okay, I'm assigning a supplier, I'm assigning my lead time, my case quantities or whatever, then Amazon will let you know, hey, it's time to restock yours so you don't run out.
Good. Let's try to blitz the last few questions we have and get to as many as we can. Hi, Shakil from Pakistan. The question here is, that's a private label question, how to kick out hijackers when we don't have enough TM and we don't have TM and brand registry. The cool thing about Arbitrage is we never have to worry about hijackers. Because we don't really own these listings. We're finding listings that are already working. We're matching product to those listings and we're selling them. So that's one of the advantages to Arbitrage. And we're talking about Arbitrage during this hour. Alex says, maybe I should wait until November with those items and see if I can sell them before I hit the long storage fees. What do you guys think? I think that's a definite thing that you want to do, Alex. Jens agrees. It's fourth quarter. I mean, the chance of you selling a product at a high price is better in October, November, and December, Alex. I would suggest December too, than it'll ever be. So let it run till then, especially if you're not incurring long-term storage fees. That's why I kind of set 6 months as my bar, because once an item is there for longer than 6 months, you are going to accumulate long-term storage fees. When I started to sell, they let you have one product. They could have been in there for 4 years and they didn't charge you long-term storage fees. If you had 5 of the product, they would credit you the first one, and they'd only charge long-term storage on those 4. And they only charged it every 6 months. August 15th and February 15th, I think. Now they whack you on all your items and they whack you every month. So you need to be more aware of long-term storage fees and how they affect you. But Alex, if you could leave them through November without even worrying about long-term storage fees, do it. And I would suggest even allowing December to be a part of that. Marion's asking you, Jens, specifically, are you checking the average price on Keepa before you make a purchase, or is it enough with the buy box price? I'm hearing you say average, right?
Yes, so I use Scoutify. I have an Inventory Lab subscription, so I use Scoutify, and every item I deem worthy, I definitely look in Keepa and look my average BSR and average price for the last 90 days. So yes, I do check that, and that's part of my check that I run through to make sure it's the item I want to sell. Good.
There were a couple of questions about account suspension and what Amazon looks for. They don't necessarily look for invoices from a manufacturer. They're looking for a reputable supplier, and they want a guarantee that you're not selling counterfeit product. So in my experience, having a receipt from a big box store, a retailer, any kind of supplier, even if it's a very common retail supplier, is sufficient, because what Amazon is trying to fight against is hijackers and counterfeits and people who are selling sham products. What you're doing in arbitrage is none of that. At least if you're following our advice, because we're saying don't do that. Just have a business that's legal, that has integrity, that's above board. And if the brand of a pair of shorts on the listing says it's Nike and it's a particular style, you are going to sell an item that matches that listing 100%. And all you need to do is prove to Amazon that that's what you're doing. And in my experience, retail receipts have been sufficient for that. And when your account gets suspended, you can prove that. But I've found, and our members have found, that if you're proving that all along the way, anytime there's an IP complaint or some sort of problem regarding potential trademark violation, that Amazon sees that you're addressing those issues with integrity, and that helps avoid getting your account suspended. I had my account suspended 1.5 years ago, and in retrospect, I see that it was because I had received IP complaints and I left them unaddressed. I don't think I was aware that they needed to be addressed. I didn't really understand what I was doing at the time. And I think if I had gotten on those right away, my account probably never would have been suspended. I don't know. Couple more real quick. When Seller Central indicates you have excess inventory, are the fees increased now? The answer to that, Chan, is no, and letting you know to take action. No, they're not increasing any kind of fees. They just have some sort of algorithm in place that's saying, based on how many we see selling, we're calling the amount of inventory you have excessive. And between you and me, I don't really pay attention to those.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. Why you can't source from a factory or distributor the products? Wouldn't be cheaper than clearance retail stores? Marcella, you can source from anywhere you want. So if you have the opportunity to source from a factory or a distributor, go for it, but it's got to match the listing you're using. So you have to have a listing. If you can get something from a distributor that's a brand that matches a listing that's making sales and making you money, you found a great situation. Run with it. And that's what a lot of wholesale people do. But if they're not branded, now you've got to brand them, and now you're living in the private label world.
But typically your margins are not as high as if you get clearance, because typically distributors or wholesalers is about 50% of your retail. So if they sell it for 75 off to get rid of the inventory position, you won't be able to get it at that price from a manufacturer distributor.
Yeah, so you might have to accept a lower margin, but if you can sell more, that's something that you're having to figure out. Marcella also asks, Seth normally talks about making a third profit, and we think the same way. If I can buy an item for $10, give Amazon $10 for their fees, and then profit $10, a third of that is profit. That assumes I'm selling the product at $30. Our margins smaller or higher if you go to items above $50 or $100. I typically find that because that's a good way to try to increase your business, is to find, if you sold 100 items and the average retail price of your sales was $15, you'd make less money than if you sold 100 items and the average item you're selling is $40. So I've tried to think through, are there higher priced items that I could invest in? Because the amount of work is the same for an item I sell for $100 as an item I sell for 10. But I think your instincts are right, Marcella, that the margin does shrink a little bit in my experience when you go to higher end products. So if I'm selling an item for $150, it's hard to find it for $50. But it's possible. It certainly is possible. So you don't have to assume that the margin's always going to decrease. And one advantage is that I have found that the higher priced items, the Amazon fees tend to be a smaller percentage. So often if I sell an item for $150, I'm not giving Amazon $50 in fees. Do you agree with that, Jens?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, looking for higher price items, you also have less competition. In that regard, I think, at least in my experience, there aren't as many sellers around. And the other piece you need to think about is if you can make that cash investment. Because if you buy items for $5, you can buy 100 items if you have $500. If you buy for $50 or $60, you can only buy 10 items. So that's the other thing. Do you have the cash position to make it work?
Yeah, and it's maybe a little riskier. He's asking for new sellers. Is it safer? It might be riskier because, I mean, if you invest a pile of money in high-end items and you haven't done good product research, now you're getting stuck with big dollar items.
Yeah, I would learn the ropes first before I go up in dollar value. So I truly understand my category and truly need to look for what's the BSR, what's the sale price. So I have a fundamental understanding before I invest into a $50, $60 item. That's
right. Robert asks, what about buying from liquidators by the pallet or truckload? Does that work? Is it a functional way to get product? Again, I think it's a great way. If you're finding quality products that are going to sell because they have a low BSR and you can get them at a good price, go for it. Just take into consideration that it's a greater risk because you're spending more money and you've got to have a place to put everything. So if that works for you, go for it.
For me, the challenge there is it's liquidation for a reason. So if unless it's a going out of business liquidation, any type of returns, I mean, there's a reason that people didn't buy it. So you don't want to buy junk and then sit on a $1,500 pallet and can't sell it. So really do your research. What are you getting?
Good. So to answer Namikan Army's question, we typically suggest you buy 3 to 5 items. And keep it a lower amount of items. Well, guys, our time is up. I thank you, Jens, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
And guys, check out the link below. At least take a look at it. Amazon Arbitrage Mastery is up and running. Our members are doing well. They're making money. We're having fun together. We're learning and growing together. Let me encourage you to take a look at the membership. Feel free to type into the comments below. I always try to respond to those. Seth often responds to those. We want to wish you the best. We want you to have a great weekend. We want you to create margin in your budget. We want you to make money. And we really want you to consider arbitrage as a means to doing that. We're going to be back next Saturday. I'll be here noon Central Standard Time. And until then, have a great time. See you guys later.
See you guys.